Good day everyone, I am Caday from BSHM3A. So the topic that I will present to all of you is all about the labor relations. And I will discuss the labor code provisions, collective bargaining agreement, and the issues on Philippine unionism. For your own opinion, what do you think is labor relations? What's coming up in your minds when you hear that word? So, okay, if you have any idea, that's good because you are familiar on this topic that I will report. So, we will now gonna proceed to the next slides to discuss what is the real meaning of labor relations. So, this is the history of labor relation that started on the date of July 5, 1935. As you can see here in this picture, this was Senator Wagner, the one who creates the act. And here is President Franklin that signed and approved the National Labor Relations Act, that also known as the Wagner Act. In this act, it was a big help to all employers or workers because it will encourage the collective bargaining by protecting workers' full freedom and also provide workers with the fundamental right to seek better worker condition and designation of representation without fear of retaliation. These are the advantages and disadvantages of labor relation. The advantages: promotes and recognizes the right and responsibilities of the employees, promotes fair labor practices, prevent unfair dismissals, and redresses the imbalances of the apartheid. Disadvantages: labor disputes and bargaining council processes can be disruptive and time-consuming and lead decreased productivity. Many employees take advantage of the right strike without acknowledge their responsibilities. So having this Labor Relations Act, being an employee or workers is must also never forget the responsibility and applying the good relationship in the organization so that do not much take advantages of it. Because this act is not the reason to solve the wrong intentionally actions of others. Like sometimes, workers or employees are the problem, not the company or employers. Labor Code. It is an legal code that determines all employment practices and labor relations. This is to help protect employees and employers while ensuring that neither is subject to unfair treatment or exploitation. In this labor code, it provides unfair treatment with the employees and it prescribes the rules for hiring and termination of private employees, including the works. Overtime benefits of workers such as the 13-month and retirement pay, and also the different guidelines in labor unions as well as in collective bargaining. It says that in this code, it makes illegal to fire private employees unless they are fired for legitimate or authorized reasons as defined in the articles. On the Article 282 to 284, these are the things that legal to be fired or terminate an employees. In Article 282 is the termination by employer. An employer may terminate an employment for any of the following cause. When an employee acts as serious misbehavior or willful disobedience by a lawful employee, having a routine neglect of the employee in his duties, fraud employee in his/her workplace, commission of a crime, and others that are similar causes. At Article 283 is the closure of establishment and reduction of personnel. An employee can be terminated due to business reasons such as installation of labor-saving devices, redundancy, retrenchment, to prevent losses, or the closing or cessation of operation. And in the Article 284 was the disease as ground for termination. For the termination of employment based on health reasons, employers are allowed to terminate employees found suffering from any disease and whose continued employment is prohibited by law or is prejudicial to his health as well as to the health of his co-workers. In this Article 282 to 284, this is the actions or situation that may legal terminate the employees in terms in behavior, businesses, reasons, and about health. Collective bargaining agreement. The explanation of this collective bargaining agreement, it is the agreement reached between the employer and the labor union that will govern the employment for the employee members of that labor union. Importantly, the agreement is between the union and the employer, not between the employer and its individual employee. Why this collective bargaining agreement is important? Because this is the only real way to solve problems in a workplace. It allows workers to continue fight for the rights of every employee or workers, and it restores the balance power for frontline workers. A collective bargaining agreement sets terms and conditions of employment such as the wages, has different types. It has an salary, hourly, overtime, retroactive pay, commissions, bonus pay, severance pay, accrued time of pay, and tip wages. The working hours and conditions. The employee benefits like Social Security, Achievement Award, health insurance, perks, and bonuses. Grievance and arbitration procedures. An example of grievance is a situation in which an employment is disciplined with a one-day suspension and loss of pay for being late for work several times in 1 month. The limitations on strikes. The union's right, like recruiting new members, take industrial action to protect members, and responsibilities having not to take pressure people to join. And last is the management's rights and responsibilities. Philippine Unionism. This first Philippine Unionism was established in 1902. It was authorized by the Constitution and labor laws after 117 years. It continues to be a platform or way for the workers that will be their voice and its representation in labor or industrial relations. In her explanation, unions would lack significant strength as a voice for labor interests in the economic development process if they were unable to expand collective bargaining beyond these few numbers. Issues in Philippine Unionism. These are the most problem issues that face of unionism. Long-term job stability. One of the most fundamental issues for union leaders and members is long-term job stability. Unions believe that companies have a duty to retain hardworking employees and fight layoffs and terminations. Illiteracy and unemployment. Illiterate people are more likely to be on unemployment benefits, having dropped out of school or unable to find a work. Low earning due to illiteracy makes a higher number of welfare dependents, which puts a heavy burden on the social security system of any nation. Discrimination and harassment at your job makes it illegal to discriminate against someone on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, or sex. Wrongful discharge termination laws. Anyone fired due to violating federal anti-discrimination legislation can file a wrongful termination claim, and any termination that seems unreasonable amounts or may result to a wrongful termination. Minimum wage, overtime, and misclassification. Some workers do not receive worker protection to which they are entitled because employers misclassify them as independent contractors when they should be classified as employees. Child labor can result in extreme bodily and mental harm and even death. In nearly every case, it cuts children off from schooling and healthcare, restricting their fundamental rights and threatening their futures. Philippine women and the union movement. Women remain to be politically marginalized. Decision-making body still is dominated by male leaders. As such, trade union prioritize common issues rather than specific women's issues. On these issues that covers, as you can see, without collective bargaining and the union, it will don't have a platform to stand up for every individual employees, and also having no fairness and respect to a workplace. So when our workers have an power of the union, also with the labor relations and collective bargaining agreement, it will be more have chances to have solutions and actions to recover to this kind of issues that happen.